Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Irish Abroad Show. It's myself, Paul Tierney. I'm joined by Ger Brown and Paul Nealon. Lads, how are we?
Go ahead, Jay.
All good. We've made it into 2022, so it's a sign that the show is obviously going in the right direction. Bigger and bolder things ahead for us for the year ahead, and a lot to catch up on because I think our last show was this day 3 weeks ago, which would have been the 16th December. So obviously, I know while football was heavily impacted by COVID over the festive period, there still is a nice bit to kind of catch up on, which is good. So should be in store for a nice juicy show today.
Yeah, definitely. And Paul, how are you doing yourself?
Good. Recovering from a bit of a heavy couple of days away over in England, but getting there. Yeah, looking forward to chatting about this. Obviously, with the January transfer window opening up, and there's people on the move, and this and that, and speculation and stuff like that with Irish players. And obviously, you mentioned there haven't done a video since I think around the 16th, so there's definitely a lot to chat about.
Yeah,
How are you,
definitely.
Paul?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Happy Arsenal's game is off tonight. To be honest, wasn't looking forward to hammering, but
That's not what you said off air.
yeah. Sure, that's not live TV. Anyway, I'm not sure what we should start with. I have notes for the 19th and that weekend and all as well. There's not much, but should I kick off with that? Should we just go from Stephen's Day?
I go from Stevens today.
Yeah, I just have from Stevens this day, so.
Yeah, Grant. I just done them that week anyway, so that's fine. We start off with the Premier League anyway. Only one bit of action on Stephen's Day. Adam Ida was on as a sub in Norwich's 5-0 defeat to Arsenal at Carrow Road. Not much to talk about really from that one, to be honest. Probably didn't have that many chances from what I seen on Match of the Day anyway. And Arsenal dominated it pretty much the same old for Adam Ida.
Yeah, he did actually went on to start 2 days later as Norwich again suffered another heavy defeat. It was their fifth in a row, this time going down to Crystal Palace away. Obviously, their New Year's Day game away to Leicester got called off. So he still got a nice bit of game time, you'd have to say, over the festive period. Adam Meader came off the last 19 minutes of that game against Arsenal. And I think in general, you can't criticise Dean Smith for not giving him a chance. He's given him two Premier League starts, which is more than what Daniel Farkner did even going back to the previous season when Norwich in the Premier League, in them seasons combined. He came on, I think, for 30 minutes that game against Aston Villa as well, um, just before the start of the festive period. So he has been given plenty of opportunities. Unfortunately, it hasn't kind of quite worked out for him. But as we touched on, Norwich are struggling. 8 goals scored this season, 1 goal scored in the month of December. Bottom of the table, 5 straight defeats. There was a little bit of an initial bounce when Dean Smith took over, 5 points, 3 games, but that's completely gone flat now. And I'd be very, very surprised come May or even by April that Norwich are not condensed to Championship football next season.
Yeah, I agree myself. Paul, what do you think there? Norwich going down?
I think the writing's on the wall for them. They seem to be this yo-yo club where they're up and down every year, kind of similar to West Brom. Um, it seems to be a kind of model for them in terms of being able to bring through players and then pass them on over time. Like Ben Godfrey, you probably see the same with Max Aarons and a couple of others over the next season or so. You've players there like Andrew Amabamadeli who gets his game for Ireland, but for some reason doesn't get his game for Norwich. Did obviously score that header against Leeds as well a few games back, and I don't know if he's been injured or what. I just haven't seen him popping up playing for them. And I thought he would have. I thought he really would have kicked on this season. I thought Dean Smith was actually going to trust in him and go forward. And then Adam Ida, yeah, we knew he was going to get opportunities, but they're very limited, and they always seem to be very limited with him. I think he'd be better suited going out on loan, like Aaron Connolly has done, a championship club that are maybe looking to get to that either that playoff spot or get over the line for promotion. I think he'd be perfect for him. I think the championship could be his level for now, but obviously then improving and maybe coming up with a club or helping the club up, and then they take the gamble on maybe looking at using him as their primary striker, kind of similar to the way Ireland have, and then let him develop that way, because you can't develop just being constantly on the bench and not really playing too much and then expecting to go into big games and be the star or the one who scores the goals, because it just hasn't worked for whatever reason. We obviously know he's talented, and Stephen Kenny always refers to him as our highest underage goal scorer. But for some reason, he just doesn't get the opportunities. I think a lot of our Irish players don't get opportunities. I think you see that, as you mentioned, with the amount of players that we have in the Premier League that don't play for their clubs. So Yeah, I think Norwich are going down, and I don't think our Irish players are benefiting really from being at their club, at that club.
Yeah, definitely. I'd agree myself anyway. We'll move on to the 28th because there's nothing else from Stephen's Day anyway. Ger mentioned Adam Idah played the full 90 minutes in Norwich's 3-0 defeat to Crystal Palace that day. We also had a lot of action at St Mary's that day. Shane Long and Matt Doherty both played in the 1-1 draw between Southampton and Spurs. Shane Long got a 6.5 out of 10 from Hampshire Live. He had a bright start, but he was far too static, subbed after 70 minutes. And Matt Doherty got a 7 out of 10 from the Evening Standard, saying he added energy in the second half when he came on. He nearly scored, probably should have scored actually, and he nearly set up a goal at the end as well. Lads, what you think of that? Encouraging for Matt Doherty, but maybe after last night, probably not as encouraging as we thought. He looks like he's moving off to Wolves again as well.
Yeah, it's weird because I was watching that game as well. It was live on Premier Sport on a Tuesday afternoon. Very rarely you get to see Premier League action on a Tuesday afternoon. But then you can see him involved at all in the New Year's Day game against Watford, which we'll touch on. But yeah, he was heavily involved in the second half. Now, look, I think Spurs were always going to be on the front foot in the second half of that game when Southampton got reduced to 10 men just before half time. And it definitely would have been viewed as 2 drop points for them in the race for Champions League football. From a Shane Long kind of point of view, yeah, I think it was his first start of the season in all competitions. Southampton, I can't even remember when was the last time he would have started a Premier League match. I'm sure it would have been at some stage of last season. But yeah, I think that the Hampshire Live rating there is probably a fair enough assumption. He never really kind of seemed to be overly kind of involved in the game. I'm sure he was probably doing the traditional, typical Shane Long role, running down channels, stretching defenders, but he never really kind of seemed to be overly involved in the play. And what turned out to be a good point for his side, Southampton. But yeah, for the Matt Doherty kind of situation, he kind of seems to be kind of scapegoat at Spurs because after a positive impact in that game, doesn't play against Watford, gets brought into the team last night probably because of another COVID situation with Tottenham. But he's the first player that gets hooked after a horrendous 45 minutes. And as you touched on there, it looks like he might be making his way back up to the Midlands and joining his old club Wolves, and where he had some great days there in the past.
Yeah, definitely. Paul, what do you think on Matt Doherty there? Obviously, Nelson Semedo's their current right back. Do you think he'd be able to pip him for that position
Well, people
if he
always
does make the move?
yeah, but people always speak about him playing on the left hand side. The game he came on for Spurs against Southampton, he actually did play on the left. It was more of an attacking role because I think he had Ben Davis behind him. But yeah, he was really good in that game and played kind of like he does for Ireland. We've seen him play wing back for Ireland as well. He's quite good on the left or the right, and has improved greatly under managers that have believed him, like Nuno and obviously Stephen Kenny. I think we've definitely seen our best performances from Doherty under Stephen Kenny in an Irish jersey more than any of the other managers we had before that called up Doherty. So I think, look, we know Doherty has the ability there. He's turned up in bigger games. It's just really a matter of getting a manager who believes him, because Mourinho, it seems as though they did get on, but for whatever reason it just didn't work out. Maybe he's too much of a defensive coach, and we know Doherty's better at going forward than he is probably defensively, especially one-on-one defensively. Where I think Matt Doherty likes to be the player who can see everything in front of him, drive into space, and try and get balls into the box, or try and get on the end of crosses from maybe the left-hand side if the balls are whipped across. But I think there's an option there that he might get in at the left side at Wolves as well if he decides to stay there. But as far as the Spurs thing goes, I think, look, it's a risk that didn't pay off. Everyone thought this is a great move for him. It's the perfect club. But people were kind of having their doubts under Mourinho, and turns out those people who were having the doubts under Mourinho, not so much his ability, Matt Doherty, but Mourinho's tactics and stuff like that just didn't suit, and it seemed as though he was going to be the one that came in and took Sergio Aurier's spot, but that wasn't the case. And then at the start of the season, Tanganga was playing ahead of him at Spurs, and Nuno was back there, so everyone thought Nuno there, he'd get back in. For some reason it just didn't work out, and at some clubs it just doesn't work out, and I think the sooner he gets out the better for him. But again, it's, can he go to a club, and can he go to a club and play? If he goes to Wolves, he's not going to have that same treatment as he did before, where he was there the 10 years and he was probably the fans' favourite and he couldn't get him out of the team. But I think there's an option there to either play him on the right side or the left side, or maybe Bruno Lage has a different idea of where he wants to play him. But I think if you want to go back somewhere and settle in straight away, I think that's where he should go, because he'll know everywhere around him. He'll know the lifestyle. I know he's huge on playing golf and stuff like that, so he obviously likes the golf courses around there as well. So I'm sure he'll be settled right back in at home there. But again, it's just a matter of, we want him obviously playing as an Irish international. We want him playing week in, week out. We can't keep having players that are just turning up every now and again and not playing for their club, and then they're playing for their country when they're not fully fit. And that's been a problem for us. I know we've been winning games and stuff like that, but a lot of our Premier League players, they do not play regularly at their clubs. And it looks like Seamus Coleman's going to be going down that route soon too.
Yeah, we shall see anyway, definitely. Just one quick mention of lads who were on the bench over the week. Evan Ferguson was on the bench twice for Brighton over that week, which is really encouraging to see. And with an FA Cup weekend coming up, Ger could definitely probably get a start or even a couple of minutes this weekend.
Yeah, met the bench, as you touched on, for them 2 games. The Stevenson's game against Brentford, and then the game 3 days later against Chelsea. Wasn't involved in the matchday squad in the game last Sunday against Everton, which was good to see Shane Duffy. That was his first appearance back in the Brighton team. I think he'd been out through illness over the last kind of couple of weeks, so probably a good chance for him as well this weekend to get 90 minutes and get a bit more match fitness, and he'd hopefully be ready for Brighton's next game against Crystal Palace then. I think that's tomorrow evening week after the Premier League resumes after the FA Cup weekend. And yeah, it would be a great chance for Evan Ferguson. I think he's already made his first team debut in the League Cup earlier in the season. So these competitions, especially after a hectic Christmas period, do always tend to be the time where maybe managers usually do seem to blend players and change things up. So it could be a good opportunity for him and for Andrew Morgan as well. And yeah, so look, we'll only kind of see as kind of time goes on. And like I said, maybe even, as I say, for Shane Duffy as well to get another 90 minutes under his belt as he's kind of working his way back as well from illness.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned Shane Duffy coming back. He was part of Brighton's 3-2 win over Everton on Sunday. Fantastic 3-2 win. Alexis McAllister grabbing 2 there.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. Look. He actually got 7 out of 10 from Sussex Live. They said he added some assurances at the back, particularly when they were up against it towards the end of the game. So that's good to hear anyway. Unfortunately, Seamus Coleman was at the other end of things from Liverpool Echo. He only got 3 out of 10, saying playing left wing back was not comfy. He improved in the second half. Paul, you probably have more of an opinion on that. Seamus wasn't great. Everton weren't great, really.
I watched it. I watched it on the stream. It was dodgy enough, but so there was moments where it was, buffering and stuff like that. So I couldn't give a real rating of how he played. But when I did see him on the ball, he was decent enough. But it was more Rafa's tactics that seemed to just fuck everything up, because he had Anthony Gordon playing ahead of Seamus Coleman, even though Seamus Coleman was playing as a wing back. So he had like a wing back system with 3 forwards. It was weird. So he was occupying up spaces that Seamus was getting into and stuff like that, and it just looked all over the place. And it just kind of screams of a manager who's under real pressure and is just trying everything to get some sort of result, and it wasn't the case. I mean, he's gone up with 2 midfielders against 3 of their midfielders, and we know Brighton are good at keeping the ball and stuff like that. So it just seemed like Rafa was setting the team up for failure. I don't really think Seamus has been as bad as people have made out. Yes, he did make a couple of mistakes. I think the Palace game and the Merseyside Derby game, I think he did make a couple of mistakes and he owned up to them. But people are really making it. It seems as though anytime Seamus Coleman makes a mistake, it's like if Matt Doherty plays well or some fullback plays well, Seamus is all of a sudden finished again. It's like everyone's just waiting for him to make one error and then say he's finished. The Everton fans are very harsh towards Seamus, in my opinion. He seems to be the scapegoat because he puts himself out there and gets in a lot of arguments on the pitch where he probably never used to when he was younger, coming through the ranks and stuff like that. But he does find himself getting in people's faces a lot more than he probably should have, and fans seem to think that that's an issue, whereas fans were calling for people to start doing that more. When he starts doing it more, they give out. But that's just the way Everton fans are at the moment, unfortunately. I don't think Seamus had as bad a game as maybe that the Echo had said. Shane Duffy, on the other hand, he came on and shored the game up, and he helped kind of add a bit of stability in the defence there, and they were able to hold out for the win, even though Everton finished strong. But like, Everton did hit the bar with a penalty as well, which the game could have ended in a draw easily. So fair play to Brighton. the lads were all happy on whatever day, Monday. Shane's 30th, so fair play to them.
Yeah, definitely. And one more thing to mention from that weekend, anyway, a big one, Kelleher, he played for Liverpool against Chelsea, obviously the live game on Sunday. He got 8 out of 10 from thisanfield.com and their Man of the Match award as well, which is high praise. I thought he was very good as well myself. He was filling in for Allison, obviously due to COVID. They said it's the biggest match of the young man's career, and he certainly stood up to it. Ger, I agree with that. What do you think?
Yeah, overall, very impressive. I think overall as well, despite the fact Liverpool were 2-0 up in this game, I probably actually feel Chelsea should have won this match. I think they should have never been 2-0 down on the balance of play. And the second half, they probably looked slightly the more likely to win the game. It was a fantastic game of football to watch. Just a pity that a draw doesn't really do either team any good. And unfortunately, for the second consecutive season, or actually the third consecutive season running, we're not going to have a competitive title race. But in terms of Kelleher, yeah, couldn't follow. I think there was one stage where he was a little bit rash coming out of his box in the first half, kind of to meet a long ball played over. I think he was fortunate not to have a corner given against him. But I think the thing that stood out to me the most was just the way he kind of was so calm and composed with dealing with crosses coming to box. He never kind of provided any nerves or shakes. I think there was one stage where he made a save from Kai Havertz and he just kind of palmed it down and then cautious. You're kind of thinking if someone was in the box, they could have latched onto it, but maybe he read the situation and knew he had enough time to kind of palm it down and make sure and get the composure to get in the second attempt. The 2 goals, couldn't really do anything. In fact, for the first goal, he does so well at the free kick. He gets his 2 fists for it and gets a really good distance on his clearance. And it's just unfortunate that Kovacic hits an absolute worldie and he'll probably never score a goal like that again. Second one, like, I think it's a case of it was Havertz, wasn't, sorry, he got the second goal for Chelsea, wasn't it? Pulisic, sorry. It's a case, I think if Pulisic missed that one-on-one, you'd be very much critical of the American there. But yeah, overall, you have to say done very, very well. Was probably going to be in line to play again this evening with the Alisson probably been out with COVID, but Liverpool had an outbreak. Don't know what's going to happen with the FA Cup game against Shrewsbury the weekend. Liverpool could pull out the kids like they did a couple of years ago against them. But you know, there's a good chance as well that there could be more opportunities coming up from in the coming weeks. I know there's the international break at the end of the month. Alisson be gone to South American World Cup qualifiers. The Premier League has said they can play rearranged games then. I don't think Liverpool will be too reluctant to play the Leeds match then, because obviously with the contingent gone to South America. But look, it's very, very good that he's gone well. I suppose the only kind of question is come the end of the season, given the fact now that he is coming into his mid-20s and the talent that he's got and the fact that he is playing second fiddle in terms of Ireland, first team football will have to become a priority, and I wouldn't be surprised maybe if he did start looking for a move in the summer, because I think he's too good of a goalkeeper to be sitting 90% of the season on the bench.
Yeah, I'd agree myself. Paul, what do you think? Good performance, but echo what Jer said maybe?
Yeah, I think Kelleher's really good, and we only get to see little snippets of how good he can be. As Jer said, 90% of the time he's just kind of on the bench, and then he's coming in and he's playing his cup games and he looks well, and he's playing in, like, a lot of the time he isn't really playing in what you would class as Liverpool's first team. Obviously it was the other day because it was in the league, but a lot of the time it's usually Carabao Cup, or he probably played the FA Cup then. But I'd like to see what he'd be like over the course of the season. You know, keepers are going to make mistakes. Bazunu is going to make mistakes as well. So I'd like to see over the course of the season how well he would do with another team. If something happened to Alisson where he got injured for the season, I'd actually be interested to see if Kelleher would remain number one or would he bring in someone else. But like, that's kind of besides the point. I think for his own sake and his own international sake, there's a danger if he doesn't go that he could remain number two for a long time, because Bazunu is younger than him and he's not really going anywhere anytime soon. Mm-hmm. So if he really wanted to get ahead of him as the international goalkeeper, he's probably best off leaving Liverpool and going to a team definitely in the Premier League or abroad. But I think he's too good to go down to the Championship at the moment. I think he's shown that he is Premier League level. But the problem is Liverpool aren't going to loan him out to a Premier League club. I just don't see it happening. So the end of the season will be interesting to see where he does go from there. I mean, I read the other day he's on like 32 grand a week, so he could be happy where he is right now, getting that sort of money. So power to him, and I hope that whatever he does decide to do, it's best for him. And it's just great to have two of the young, or probably three of the best young keepers in Europe are Irish. You know, I would include Travers in that. I don't care what happened against Serbia. I think over longevity and over the course of the season, I think you're seeing the fruits of him doing well in a good Bournemouth team as well. And I think he's only going to get better too. So we have three really good options in goal going forward. Obviously, we have Darren Randolph there, and he might get a club soon. Who knows in this January transfer window? But just in regards to Kelleher, I do think it's going to be an interesting end of the season where he goes. But look, I'm enjoying getting a chance to watch him. The way I look at it is, as long as he plays well, happy days. But if Liverpool lose, I'm quite happy just as well.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Actually, the only other time I'd really seen him before
you don't
this
want
was
to keep any clean sheets, so
As long as he's not a fault for the goals and you can see goals, I'm happy. Like the Chelsea game. So
yeah.
Like you mentioned there, the only other time I really saw him like for a full, like good thing was the Carabao Cup game against Arsenal. I think it was 2 seasons ago. It was 5-5. Now I think he done well, but like I mean, you know, like when you concede 5, you can't really be like, oh, I've had a good performance there, you know, unless you keep them out if they're gonna score 10 or something like. But anyway, that's it. Ger, do you have anything to add for that? That's all from the Premier League that I can see. Really, might be something else.
Just a few bits as well, but just even actually making that kind of reference, remember that game as well, the 5-5 game, and similar to the Leicester game a few weeks ago, he ends up being the hero because he saved a penalty in the shootout. But you can see in the space of 2 years how much he's kind of really come on. The fact that he got a couple of games in the Champions League and Premier League last season, I'm actually really annoyed. And maybe I'm being biased, being Irish in this, but like Liverpool were through after 4 games in the Champions League, and Klopp didn't throw me into the last 2 matches, which were dead rubbers. We even had the Group 1. That really annoyed me, but you can kind of see how much he has kind of come on from that. And even as Paul made like reference to, like, keepers are going to make mistakes. Even the Leicester game a couple of weeks ago, like, he could have done better for some of them games. Like, so it's kind of a case of like, if he played a full season, can we kind of see everything kind of balance out? We can kind of weigh up a more fair assumption, because we haven't even got to see much from him in Ireland. A half against Hungary, and then that game against Qatar. Like, things have worked out differently, and he hadn't got that injury before the Serbia match back in March of last year. He probably will be the Ireland number 1 now, but that's just the way things go. Just finally from the Premier League, maybe before I move on to the Championship, Occo Flex was also on the bench for West Ham over the last 2 games, as well as they recorded a couple of big wins, 4-1 away to Watford and 3-2 away to Crystal Palace. They nearly actually threw away the lead in that game. Again, you touch on FA Cup, it could be a possibility for him to feature again this kind of weekend. And it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen with Conor Coventry, because his loan spell at Peterborough is up. It's fair to say it didn't work out. A lot of the time he was coming off the bench, so it'll be interesting to see what the next move will be for him there. I imagine West Ham would probably look to loan him out again in January. So I can move on with the Championship if you want, Paul.
Yeah, that's fine. Work away.
Yeah, severely
just
hampered.
Before you do, Jared, just all I was saying about Kelleher and the mistakes is just, as I said, keepers will make mistakes. I'd just be interested to see how he'd bounce back from them. That's all I kind of meant by that, But,
oh no, I wasn't. I was kind of like seeing your point, because over the course of a season, you're not going to have a flawless season.
Yeah.
Like you look at, say, just take for instance, Alisson Becker, like the season Liverpool, not the season they won the league, but the season they ran Man City very close. He would have been fused having a great season. He made a couple of high-profile errors. I remember the game against Leicester, we still won, but as you say, like, it's the way you're kind of going to bounce back. And it'd be interesting to see as well with Gavin Bazuna, because he comes across as such a composed, mature fella for his age. I think he would be still the type of keeper that would just take it as if it's very casual, and it wouldn't affect him at all in terms of confidence. So the Championship, so there was games on Stevenson's Day and the bank holiday Monday the 27th. Only 4 games over those 2 days because of COVID. From an Irish involvement, Richard Keogh had the final 26 minutes for Blackpool as they lost 3-2 away to Huddersfield. And then on the 27th, Festi Ebisele, Jason Knight both started, while Aaron Cashin came on for the last 3 minutes and still managed to pick up a yellow card, as Derby recorded an impressive 1-0 victory over West Brom. Jason Malumbi and Callum Robinson were part of the losing side in that contest. And later that day, Mark Travers of Bournemouth and Jimmy Dunn of QPR both played each other, as the former bet the latter 1-0 away. So that was a win for Bournemouth. Then on the 29th and the 30th, Dan McNamara and Alex Pearce both played 90 minutes for Millwall, as they bet Coventry City 1-0 away from home. Richard Keogh this time returned to the Blackpool starting lineup as they went down 2-1 at home to Middlesbrough. Darragh Lenihan picked up a yellow card as Blackburn bet Barnsley 2-1 at home. That result actually made it 8 games unbeaten since that 7-0 pacing they got against Fulham back in November. It's now actually been added to 9. They're third in the table. Incredible turnaround there from Tony Mowbray's charges. Mark Travis
Lenihan's been, apparently, he's been getting rave reviews.
Yeah.
The last 9, whatever the unbeaten
the run
streak
is, yeah.
He's been apparently unbelievable.
Yeah, he's. You could say he's turned into someone kind of a cult hero, kind of legend status at Blackburn. He's been there so long. He's a captain now. We touch on regularly in the show, Paul, like himself and Daniel Alala, they get really, really kind of good praise for their partnership in general. And like they've kept an awful lot of clean sheets. Like to go from shifting 7 to kind of turn around, like that's a result that could demoralise your season and could have you down the other end of the table. To show the bounce back ability collectively as a team, and obviously it's Brett Diaz. What's his actual surname?
Ben Brereton Diaz.
Yes, he's obviously claiming all the attention at the moment with transfer speculation, but
he'll be off to the South American qualifiers as well with Chile.
That's right,
so
I mean, the championship is not stopping for that, so that could actually severely hamper Blackburn's promotion charge.
Yeah, true. It could. They've been the form team the last while because the top 3, Fulham, West Brom, Bournemouth, have actually been quite bad the last while. Like Bournemouth, I think that was only their second win in 5 or 6 or something, which is, I mean, how good they were going. Fulham, standard Fulham, really. If Mitrovic isn't scoring, Fulham aren't doing anything. And West Brom are just too defensive from what I've seen. So there you go.
Just on Blackburn, James Brown signed for them as well today.
That's
so
right,
he was announced. So he could be interesting to see how he gets on, or does he come in over the course of the season? He's kind of been signed as the under-23s player, which is just a bit weird, but hopefully he can make his mark and maybe get into the team, because I think he's a class right back. I really think he's a really good up-and-coming Irish player, and I hope he actually makes the grade and can try and force his way into the first team. Someone like Darragh Lenihan will be really good for him, though.
Yeah, fingers crossed. So just continuing on there from the 29th and 30th, so just talked on Bournemouth there. They made it 2 wins from 2 over the festive period, and Mark Travis made it 2 clean sheets from 2 as they bet Cardiff City 3-0. Mark McGuinness started this game and James Collins came on the last 32 minutes for the Bluebirds. Jason Knight played 90 minutes and Feste Epicetti played 23 minutes as Derby once again recorded an impressive victory, this time 2-1 away to Stoke. And Callum O'Dowda from Bristol City and Jimmy Dunn from QPR both played 90 minutes as the West London side, that's QPR, won 2-1 in Bristol. And finally then from New Year's weekend, just the weekend gone by, Richard Keogh, Blackburn and Sean McLaughlin Hull both played every second as Blackpool I said Blackburn for Richard Keogh, it was Blackpool, as they picked up a badly needed 1-0 win at home in that game. Callum O'Dowd at Bristol City, Dan McNamara and Alex Pearce both in Millwall were all part of a 5-goal thriller as the host Bristol City won that game 3-2. Callum Robinson and James Collins were both on the score sheet as West Brom drew 1-1 with Cardiff, of course, Robinson scoring for West Brom and Collins scoring for Cardiff. Jason Malumbi, West Brom, and Mark McGuinness, Cardiff, both picked up yellow cards in that contest. Darragh Lenihan, who we were just talking about, helped Blackburn to another clean sheet as they drew 0-0 at home to Huddersfield. So that was probably a slightly disappointing result for them, although Huddersfield actually are pushing around the playoffs this season. Scott Hogan, Birmingham City, and Jimmy Dunn, QPR, went up against each other as the Londoners won 2-1 away from home. So it was a good festive period for QPR, and no doubt Mark Bertram is happy for a man who's always given out. Alan Brown, 90 minutes, and Sean Maguire, just 2 minutes, were part of the Preston side that bet Stoke City 2-1 away. And finally, Jason Knight, 66 minutes, and Feste Epicetti, 34 minutes, were part of the Derby side that came from 2-0 down late on to snatch a 2-2 draw with Reading. So 7 points for them over the festive period was very impressive. But I suppose the main talking point from an Irish point of view surrounding the championship is not actually on the playing field. It's the signing of Aaron Connolly going to Middlesbrough on loan for the rest of the season. I suppose, look, overall, it's probably not a bad move for him. He was struggling to get game time with Brighton this season in the Premier League. He has shown before in the past, unfortunately, only kind of glimpses and patches of the talent and ability that he is good enough to play at that level. But now maybe taking his drop down, getting the kind of regular football, getting his confidence back, and hopefully forcing his way back into the Ireland squad.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. He's gone to a team, Middlesbrough, who've just brought in Chris Wilder as well. I mean, if they go on a run, they could end up in the playoffs. I'm not 100% sure where they are in the league, but yeah, definitely Middlesbrough are always thereabouts the last couple of years anyway. And look, hopefully you can get a couple of goals. That's the main thing, get a bit of confidence back, because even you see some of the Brighton fans on their Instagram page and all, when he was going out on loan, they're saying, "Oh, I hope he doesn't come back," and all this. Like that's no use. Like he works very hard. Maybe he's not a proven goal out and out goal scorer, but he works very hard, and sure, that's all you can really ask for from a lot of the strikers, to be honest.
Middlesbrough 7th. I was just checking that.
Seventh, well, there you go, close enough to the playoffs. Like they go on a run, they could end up in the way the top teams are playing in that league, and with players going to be leaving for international break as well. Anything could happen really if they go on a run, and hopefully Aaron's a big part of that.
They're only 7 points off Blackburn, who are second.
There you go.
So
So there you go. It doesn't take anything to change in the championship. Like, how often have we even seen the championship teams could be 20 at this stage of the season and they end up nearly getting the playoffs, like 4 or 5 games, and that table just turned up and down. Like QPR a couple of weeks ago, I think we're third or fourth. Now I think they've slipped outside the playoff spots. Obviously, they're back on a bit of a run again. Do you want to take us through League One, Paul?
Yeah, grand. There's not much from Stevens Day, but I just have a couple of players who played anyway. We'll start off with Accrington Stanley and Rotherham. John O'Sullivan played for Accrington, and Chiadozie Ogbeni played for Rotherham in Accrington's 1-0 win there. Sean Long played in Cheltenham's 2-0 defeat to Plymouth Argyle. Keane Hayes played in Fleetwood's 3-0 defeat against Shrewsbury, so not very good faring so far. And Warren O'Hara scored an own goal, but MK Dons did come back to beat Lincoln City 3-2 at Sinsel Bank. Anthony Scully and Troy Parrott were also part of that game as well, which is good to see. I think Scully's gone very quiet, actually, which is a surprise because he started the season
Yeah,
so well.
that was actually his first appearance in 7 games since the 20th of November. I don't think Lincoln, because of COVID, have played since that game. So I do think it was a combination of injury. Like, as you say, it's mad. It's the end of September when Stephen Kenny announced his squad for the October window, and people were giving out that he wasn't in it because he was banging in the goals left, right, and centre. And as you say, he's been very inactive the last kind of couple of weeks. But hopefully now he can get back on the horse again, as they say, for 2022.
Yeah, definitely. That's it from the 26th and 27th. Anyway, we've got the 29th and the 30th here, and to start off with Morecambe. Anthony O'Connor and Shane McLaughlin both played in their 2-1 defeat to Crewe Alexandra. Mark Sykes got a goal, and he got in the EFL Team of the Week for that round of fixtures as Oxford beat Wimbledon 3-0 at the Kassam Stadium. And John O'Sullivan helped Accrington Stanley draw 0-0 with Shrewsbury Town there as well. That's all I have from the 29th to the 30th. And a bit more action on New Year's weekend. We start off with Burton Albion, Conor Shaughnessy and Thomas O'Connor helped Burton Albion beat Crewe 4-1 there. Warren O'Hara and Troy Parrott played in MK Dons 0-0 draw with Gillingham. Mark Sykes scored another goal, a late equaliser as Oxford drew 1-1 with Cheltenham Town. Chiadozie Ogbeni got an assist, and Owen Doyle scored as Rotherham beat Bolton 2-1 at, I'm not sure what their stadium's name is. Joshua Coyote also got game time, and Kieran Sadlier too for Rotherham. Shane McLaughlin grabbed an assist in Morecambe's comeback win over Doncaster. They were actually 3-0 down at that at half time. They ended up winning 4-3. Anthony O'Connor also played there. But a shout out here from Doncaster, Joseph Alulu. I'm pretty sure he used to play for Cork City. He scored for them. I know he's not Irish, but I remember him anyway playing for Cork in their relegation year, fondly remembered relegation year. Wes Houlihan, Ronan Curtis, Marcus Harness, Sean Williams, Sean Raggett, and Gavin Bazunu all played in Cambridge 0, Portsmouth 0 on Bank Holiday Monday. So that's wrap up for League One. Anything to add there?
Good old Joseph Olawu.
Yeah. Whatever you say. I don't know how to say the name properly.
I know who you're on about. The fella that all the Cork boys used to love, yeah.
Yeah.
Arsenal reserve.
Yeah, sure. Do you remember your man Kerrick Gilbert as well? I know he wasn't Irish either, but he went to Rovers. And I remember I'd be up watching him, and they were like, "Oh, he used to play for Arsenal. He must be deadly." And he was shocking. He was a shocking footballer. Anyway, Ger, do you have anything to add to that?
I think we actually had that lad as well on the former Arsenal player on the channel as well. I think one of the Cork.
Yeah, your man Keane did.
Yeah. I remember seeing him once. It was the last game before COVID in March 2020. Myself and Gary Spain covered in Richmond Park in the Ped St. Pat's. He was probably actually Cork City's standout player that night. I thought he was actually kind of quite impressive. In terms of League One, no, nothing else to add. Everything you have it covered there, Paul. I suppose just a little bit of novelty. It was nice to see a former Ireland legend and hopefully what's already in the making of being a future Ireland legend share the pitch for the first time there at the weekend when Wes Houlihan came on that game when Cambridge drew with Portsmouth, obviously himself and Gavin Bazunu kind of passing the torch from one player to the other, maybe like.
Yeah, he was easy on him because there was a 0-0 draw, so you let him have the clean sheet.
Yeah.
Because if Wes wants to play, he usually just plays. So that's it.
One thing we didn't speak about was obviously Meepo declaring that he's going to play for Ireland, which is good after all the nonsense that surrounded it for nearly 2 years, probably I'd say it was.
Yeah.
He's came out and said that, well, John Fallon said in the Irish Examiner that he's come out and declared to play for Ireland now, and that's where his allegiances lie, which is good because it's just another stupid thing hanging over fans' heads and hanging over his head, and now it's put to bed. Unless he declines another call-up, which I don't think he will. But I think the best thing for him to do now is just get his head down. He's gone back to West Ham. He's been recalled from his loan, or else had the loan spell ended early. But he has gone back to West Ham. He might go to another club, who knows? But we shall see. But I'm just happy that's been sorted because I don't know what it is with Irish fans. It's always just people always thinking that they're in the know about these things and they're always putting it out in these things. And I just to be standing back going, like, what are you doing? Just the player's ready to say what's going to happen. Yeah. Then we'll make the decision and then we'll judge instead of going, oh, he's going to go and play for Nigeria. He's going to go and play for England. When he never actually came out and said anything. He just didn't say anything. He just seemed like he was avoiding the whole subject. Whereas people were going, oh, how dare he do this and how dare he do that? How dare he play for Nigeria? He can do what he wants. Like, literally, he could do what he wants, and he's chose to play for Ireland. So happy days. And now people are getting us back. Oh, he's just coming crawling back. You just can't please some people. So, look, well done to him. He's back. And I don't really want to hear too much negativity or nonsense towards it anymore. Let's just hope he can get his career back on track. And hopefully, because himself and Troy Parrott were tipped as the two best strikers coming out of Ireland in their age group. And I'd just like to see them now kicking on, the two of them, at senior level of football.
Yeah, but sure, like, look, as you say, like how fickle and kind of stupid fans can be. Look at one of our supposed fan favourites at the moment, Chinozie Obene. Like, his first preference and choice was to play for Nigeria. So look, you don't really know, and these kind of things flip and kind of switch. Like, as you say, like, look, we're a small nation with a small pool to pick from. We won't go turning down anyone. And like, he's a young player. You don't know, like, what kind of desires or interests he could have had and everything else like that. It can take your time. It's a big decision. And look, thankfully he's on board and fingers crossed go through. And yeah, as you say, the loan spell didn't really see much time at Huddersfield. I think he was injured for kind of a while, like, so hopefully it kind of happened for him as well. Just also interesting as well to see from League One, despite all the speculation of the last week or so with Owen Doyle surrounding the move to St. Pat's. He's on the score sheet again for Bolton there, his 5th goal of the season, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with that one. Will I run through League 2, Paul? Not really much to get through here, but I might as well give us an update.
Yeah, work away. Yeah, that's fine.
So just actually 3 pieces of information from League 2. Just 2 from St. Stephen's today. Under 18 international Harry Fotham got an assist for Oldham, but they lost 3-1 at home to Scunthorpe. They're having a shocker of a season. A lot of problems off the pitch there as well for the club in the northwest of England. And former underage international John Joe O'Toole started to come back from Mansfield against Hartlepool. He got the first goal as they came from 2-0 down to win 3-2. So that ruined Jeff Stelling's Christmas, I would say. And then finally, from New Year's weekend, just there on Saturday, Conor Wilkinson, well, he had an eventful game. He only came on in the 52nd minute for Walsall, and he ended up scoring 2 goals in the right end and scored an own goal as well, as Walsall drew 3-3 with Newport. That's all I have from League 2. Paul, if you have anything else to add, or just want to go straight on to Scotland?
I just have something from the National League, a couple of games. Paddy Madden got a goal in 2 games. He got 1 goal in 2 games. No, how am I going to say this? He got a goal in... I don't know how I'm going to say this. He scored 1 against Aldringham in a 5-1 win for Stockport, and he scored 1 against Solihull Moors as Stockport won 1-0 as well. So Paddy Madden still getting in the goals, and that's good to see from the National League as well.
He scored 2 goals in 2 games.
He scored 2 goals in 2 games. There we go. Brilliant.
I also see an interesting thing as well popped up on my Twitter feed today. The highest paid National League players' wages. Paddy Madden is, I think, the third highest paid player. He's on 3.5 thousand a week. And surprisingly, Adam Rooney is actually the eighth highest. Well, not, I thought he'd be higher up. He's on 2,000 a week with Sonny Moore. It's just interesting figures. It still actually made me quite depressed when I added up their yearly figures for National League football. It's the fifth tier of English football. They're probably on more than the three of us combined, and with something to spare.
Imagine what if you looked at it when Salford are in it. I'd say those boys are getting paid tons, even in League Two. Like, you know, I'd say Adam Rooney was near the top when he was with Salford. Anyway, definitely.
And Richie Towell.
Yeah, Richie Towell too. Yeah,
Rooney was actually with them, wasn't he, in the National League? So Towell didn't actually join them until League Two, wasn't it?
yeah. No, Rooney was with them in the National. I think Towell joined them
The year they got
the year.
promoted.
Yeah, the year of COVID maybe. Or so. I'm not sure.
He dropped down 2 divisions, I think, or definitely at least 8 division.
They
After
were
speaking to Neville, yeah.
Yeah, I was watching a match there the other week, and they the fans were singing "Tell." It wasn't about him, but they were like singing for the player to use the towel to dry the ball so he could do a long throw. And then the commentator said, "Oh, I wonder where Richie Towell is now." I was like, "He's winning the League of Ireland. That's where he is."
I heard that actually. That was I remember that game.
I think it was Derby and West Brom. I think
so. Yeah.
Yeah. But
a bit like that old sketch you often see floating around, where the Sky Sports commentator, and they used to show that league, saying Luka Modric ruled out for injury for 3 weeks, and then 2 minutes later, Luka Modric hearing the ball.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That one that floats around on social media.
Good old Sky Sports commentators. You can't beat them. Anyway, we move on to Scotland, as you said. Only Stephen's Day action here. Well, there's action in the other leagues as well. Not much though. Liam Scales and James McCarthy helped Celtic beat St Johnstone 3-1 at McDiarmid Park. That was the start of St Stephen's Day. A good start for Liam.
They won the League Cup as well. I was at that final.
The League Cup, yes. Celtic also won the League Cup. Just before that. Yeah. So I heard in Scotland they were saying that was a massive fault for the COVID cases going up. I mean, yeah, probably, but sure, look, if England are doing it, why don't you let other people do it? Like, you know.
That's it. I didn't catch it.
There you go.
You're probably still immune.
Yeah. But see, I think it was because they were saying it, but they didn't have anything to back it up. Like, they just kind of said it, oh, they're probably all getting COVID from this, like, you know, which is usual carry on from politicians anyway.
Are they trying to say everyone in Scotland is the Celtics or a Hibernian supporter?
Exactly. They're only looking at Edinburgh and Glasgow there.
And half of each city.
Yeah. Not looking at the likes of St Mirren and St Johnstone, are they? Never. Anyway, move on. Johnny Hayes and Ryan Sweeney played in Aberdeen's 2-1 win over Dundee, the latter playing for Dundee. Jake Doyle-Hayes helped Hibs beat Dundee United 3-1 at Tannadice. Aaron McAniff actually started for Hearts. He helped them beat Ross County 2-1. He got 56 minutes in that, which is good to see. And Joe Shaughnessy, Charles Dunn, Alan Power and Jamie McGrath all played in Rangers' 2-0 defeat of St Mirren. All of them playing for St Mirren there. I heard St Mirren were actually trying to get that called off, so it's good to see the 4 lads didn't have COVID anyway, that's for sure. And one more bit of news from Scotland from New Year's weekend. Daniel O'Reilly, he just moved from Drogheda United. He played for Hamilton Accies and helped them keep their first clean sheet in 3 as they won 3-0 against Queen of the South. So, Ger, do you have anything to add from that?
Yeah, there's actually a good bit of transfer news, League of Ireland news surrounding Scotland as well. I can't remember the club off the top of my head, but Daniel Cleary has also joined a Scottish club as well. You might be able to fill me in. St Johnstone. And of course, obviously the big one and probably the most high profile one is under 21 international Ross Tierney joining Motherwell, and it'd be interesting to kind of see how that one goes. I think he was saying in an interview with Off the Ball that originally was hoped to go through in the summer, then it fell through, probably just as well for him because he got to experience that unbelievable European run with Bohemians and got an extra half season under his belt. And by all accounts, look, he seems very realistic with the challenge ahead. He's not looking too far ahead in terms of Ireland call-ups or anything else like that. Obviously, did reference the likes of Jamie McGrath going to a smaller club in Scotland and proving it can be done to make the call-up. Look, Stephen Kenny is very familiar with him, with taking a lot of League of Ireland games over the last year or so because of COVID. And yeah, it'd be kind of interesting one. We know from watching him week in, week out, he's a talented player. He's shown it already at the international level. He got a winner for Ireland, I think, against Australia scored, and he's certainly back in the summer. So fingers crossed it works out for these, not just for him, but also for Daniel Cleary as well, who's already shown pedigree with being a Liverpool youth team player, and Daniel O'Reilly as well. Hopefully it works out for the 3 of them.
Yeah, definitely. And Paul has up on the screen there, Johnny Kenny has just gone from Sligo to Celtic. Paul, what do you think of that one yourself? I haven't seen. I know he's a very good player, but I didn't see much of Sligo last year, despite them being beaten by Rovers once.
He seems to be a player that absolutely everybody's talking about. I mean, Hibs and Celtic were going head to head to sign him. I think Hibs' interest in signing him has made Celtic now go and be in pole position to sign him, and it looks as though it's going to be done in the next couple of days. And there's going to be a release clause, or sorry, they'll have to pay the release clause. I think it's 150k. I think there'll be sell on value and stuff like that. If he does do well for Celtic, Sligo will get sell on from it. So I think it's good for himself to go to Celtic, and all the Celtic fans are raving about him, thinking that he's going to come in and do well. Celtic don't really have. I know KELLEHER's got come in and done well. They signed some players from the J League and stuff like that, but up until recently, they didn't really have too many out and out strikers who you can kind of say, since Edward maybe, we can say that there's the out and out striker. Whereas now there's Kyogo, but if he gets injured, then who comes in and steps in there? So he could get an opportunity to go in there. We've seen Liam Scales in recent times. We know Ange Postecoglou isn't afraid to play youngsters and bring them in and give them a chance. So I just hope it doesn't go the way it's gone with other players like Lee O'Connor and Jonathan Afolabi, who've been highly rated and have gone to Celtic and struggled, and then their careers haven't really gone anywhere since. Luckily, Lee and Jonathan are still quite young, but Johnny Kenny's gone over very young as well. I think he just finished his leaving cert, and it's gonna be tough for him to get in. But I think he's shown why so many clubs are after him in his performances, and he hasn't really looked out of place at all in any of the games that I've heard of. I haven't really watched Sligo myself, but any of the games I've heard, he's been outstanding. So I will be watching his career with Irish eyes, really, wouldn't it? Hoping to see him do well, and obviously watching his career to see how he progresses from here. What are your thoughts, Paul?
I think it's a big
what
move.
do you think?
It's a big move from, like, you look at how well it's gone for Liam Scales, particularly the last couple of weeks. He should get an opportunity because it's not the best Celtic side we've seen in a while. They don't seem to have much depth either. So yeah, hopefully he gets an opportunity. Maybe still a bit young. He'll play with the younger sides as well. But even to be playing with the likes of the experienced players that are there, even like, I know Joe Hart's a goalkeeper, but the amount of things Joe Hart could tell him would be unbelievable for a young player like that. And hopefully it goes well for him. And hopefully he gets opportunities like Liam Scales has in the last few weeks, like I said already.
Yeah, well, look, Liam Scales is now cup winner with Celtic. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's good business by Celtic. I don't know if it's good business for him, but time will tell.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I
think maybe the only thing compared to Liam Scales had vast number of years of League of Ireland football and senior football under his belt. I think if I'm correct in saying last season was Johnny Kenny's first season playing senior football. Now, it was at their last game of the season when they didn't really have much to play for, but they still had a strong team outside goal when they played Bohemians in the last day of the season. And definitely in the first half, he was head and shoulders the best player on the pitch. He scored one, was unlucky not to score world, and he hit the crossbar. He was just absolutely causing Bows absolute nightmares. Like, I would be just a little bit kind of wary. I don't see him actually, to be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't really see him play at all much this kind of season. That he could be one of those. It could be a few in kind of next season and give him time to kind of bed in. Maybe, who knows, he could be loaned back to Sligo for a while. Can't really kind of see that. But look, fingers crossed it takes off. Like I said, Celtic are a club with massive, strong Irish roots, and it's great to see now they've got 3 players there from Ireland, and it kind of help with the fan support base. There's no two ways about it. The fans will be right behind him as well. And if it works out, and as Paul says, like, it won't end up being another Jonathan Afolabi or a Lee O'Connor story, or even a Luke O'Connell one who went there at the time when he was playing very well in the Championship. He's another one whose career you probably have to say has gone backwards since, but fingers crossed it'll be the opposite for Johnny.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. I've only got a couple more things left. We've got Europe, Papa John's Trophy, and there was a League 2 game on Tuesday. So, Ger, do you want me to run through them, or do you want to?
Yeah, I don't have anything on them, so you can just run through them if you want.
Grant, no bother.
I'd say just fly through them, Paul. We probably don't even really need to discuss them.
Yeah,
Except for maybe the Rotherham one.
Yeah. We'll start off with Europe anyway. Josh Cullen, he played an Anderlecht 7-0 win over Beerschot the day after Stephen's Day. He's had a great year, Josh Cullen, and I mean, probably a player who's playing consistently at the highest level. Probably one of our only ones really who's playing at a high level anyway in Belgium, which is good to see. At week in, week out is what I'm trying to say there. Yeah, we'll mention the Rotherham one on Tuesday in the Papa John's Trophy. Kieran Sadlier and Josh Coyote both scored as Chiedozie Ogbeni provided an assist. He impressed again as Rotherham beat Crew 4-2. They're into the next round there. I didn't see who they got in the draw today, but that's fantastic from them. Will Keane got another goal.
It was Coyote's first goal for Rotherham, I believe.
Yeah, that's good class for him. And Rotherham are flying at the minute as well. They could probably get promoted and win that as well. Probably the best, probably the favourites left in that anyway, from what I've seen of who's left in it. Maybe Wigan as well. Go on to Wigan. Will Keane, he scored as Wigan trashed Oldham 6-0. Don't think James McLean was involved. I think he's at home at the minute. And yeah, that's it. That's all I've got from them. Mentioned the Rotherham lads, fantastic stuff from them. They're flying at the minute, and so is Ogbeni.
Okay.
Yeah, you got high praise as well for the weekend for their big win over Bolton as well. You provided, as you touched on earlier, the key assist for that game. As you said, yeah, they're going really, really well in cup competitions and in the league, as you touched on. They are a little bit of the equivalent of a Norwich and a Fulham and a West Brom between League One and the Championship. They seem to be a little bit of a yo-yo club. They find it kind of hard to get that stability and kind of stay up. But look, hopefully if it's the case of that they do kind of get across the line this season, which I think they will, that they can kind of establish themselves at that higher tier next season.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully they'll be getting opportunities in the Championship as well. High praise for Ogbeni again, Paul. Do you think he might be on the move this January?
I don't know if he's not on the move this January. I think he definitely will be in the summer. I think he will get more opportunities in March with the friendlies and stuff like that, and then maybe the Nations League then after that. So I think he will be on the move from Rotherham. I think he's too good to be there. I think he's gone up another level since coming in to the international team. I think that's starting to show. He's scoring good goals. He's assisting goals, and then he's obviously was assisting more goals again last night. So fair play to him.
Yeah, good stuff. Long may it continue. I think that's it for this show, lads. That busy one there. Anyway, triple game week basically from a lot of the leagues. Imagine if all the games were on, we would have had to do so much more research on that. But a few of them were off, obviously, due to COVID. Do we have anything else to add, lads, before we finish up?
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe, yes. What are we going to say, Jay? No.
No, I'm desperate to get to dinner on now at this stage, so I have nothing to add.
Okay, well, thanks very much, everyone, for watching. Fantastic show, and hopefully you join us again next week where we'll have more chat and reaction from what goes on over the weekend with the best competition in the world, the FA Cup, starting this weekend. Thanks very much, and good luck.